Test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm John Pandel and I approve this message. De nuevo, let's go again. Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1. Okay. Hino kamu. Sponsors. Thank our sponsor. We thank our sponsors.
¿Cómo no vamos a aceptar?
Como ustedes quieran, de hecho necesito saber para que les pongan los nombres.
Aquí, vamos a poner
En la pantalla.
en la pantalla.
Ajá.
Yo creo que avisar que, Marcos, a les puede avisar que va a haber oportunidad de preguntas y respuestas al final de...
Los sponsors, ¿cómo se dicen? Los
patrocinadores. Agradecerles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Entonces se van a sentar aquí, o sea, yo paso, va a ser yo paso, ingeniero Ramos,
¿Y a qué altura? ¿Aquí más o menos?
Va a hacer los personalizadores, Luis lo está haciendo. ¿No vas a maquillar a Marcos? Ingeniero Camón.
ahorita llega la...
Se puede maquillar.
Se me corrió el rímel.
El escenario aquí.
Claro.
Ahorita que estemos al aire, que estén ya en vivo, ustedes van a estar viendo aquí, lo que están viendo aquí es lo que están viendo la gente. Cuando ustedes estén hablando, el senador le va a decir en qué cámara se va a ver y ustedes ven la lente para que vean la gente y la televisión, pues es directamente a ellos. Si ustedes lo ponen para ver para arriba, entonces se va a ver en la televisión, se va a ver todo para otro lado. Entonces, volteen a ver la cámara que les diga el senador.
¿Cómo lo vamos a prender luz o algo ahí?
Le voy a indicar en qué cámara van a estar para que se dirijan a esa cámara, ¿no?
Cuando estén pasando los videos, no vamos a estar al aire, ¿no?
Cuando estén pasando los videos, le voy a quitar los micrófonos para que no estén. Pero desde que empiezan al aire, ya están listos, ¿no? Porque vamos a entrar directamente con ustedes.
Apagar los celulares.
Okay. Por aquí.
1, 2, 3, probando micrófono. 1, 2, 3. ¿Sirvió?
1, 2, 3, probando. 1, 2, 3, probando. 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3.
Van a poner personificadores. Anda.
¿Quieres poner el orden del día? ¿Cómo? Poner esto ahí, previo. No creo que sea necesario.
El personificador va a aparecer en la pantalla, ingeniero. Cada vez que hable usted, cualquiera de ustedes, le va a aparecer el nombre en la pantalla.
Ah, ok. Muy bien.
Entonces cada uno debemos tomar una cámara. Yo debo mirar a esa, ¿verdad? Sí. Ok.
¿Lo checaste sumas y restas? No le digo una y otra vez. Eso y las fechas para promocionar. Vamos a tener suficiente uva para promocionar.
¿Eso cuándo lo vamos a poner? Cuando sea las
En los pronósticos.
estimaciones.
Estimaciones de cosecha. Importante que tú digas, va a haber suficiente uva para promocionar durante toda la temporada. Y si ya queda muy claro, ya ni le entro yo a traducirlo eso, pues, ¿no? Ya nomás
¿Qué cosa?
aquí, tus estimaciones.
Ah,
El John va a hablar de cómo vienen las... Luis, va a hablar de cómo viene Chile y Perú, que es nuestra competencia.
La de esa.
Y luego tú las estimaciones. ¿Sacaste algo para John de lo de Chile? Ya lo tiene. Ah, ahí está. Ok. Ah, sí, ya me lo habías dado. Tienes razón. El John habla de cómo creemos que va a estar Filadelfia, ¿no? Luego tú pasas las estimaciones con esto y puedes hablar de la helada, puedes hablar del frío, puedes hablar ¿no? Y hablas tú en ese momento de las fechas de caja 1, que todo eso se puede mover y dentro de un mes vamos a volver con...
dijimos que la caja 1 era el...
Ahí viene abajo aquí.
Ah, porque esta hoja no la trae. Buenos días, buenas tardes, perdón. Agradecemos a todos su presencia y queremos dar las gracias también aquí a John Pandol, que está con nosotros, y Juan Laborín. Como bien saben, el evento hubo que reprogramarse. Ahorita lo estamos, vamos a pasar la fecha más adelante cuando la tengamos ya afinada. Y por lo que nos queda ahorita, pues nada más queremos dar los datos, las estimaciones, queremos presentar los videos de las personas que iban a estar aquí con nosotros y pues agradecerle a todos. Queremos agradecer de fondo, la verdad, todos los patrocinadores que nos estuvieron auspiciando. Pues ya pronto los volveremos a ver nuevamente para sacar la nueva fecha que tenemos por definir. Y bueno, pues aquí le paso a Juan Laborín la palabra para que salude también a todos sus amigos.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Thank you very much, all of you, to be with us. John, thank you very much, always. We just want to mention that we're reprogramming this event that we were not very happy to postpone, but it's according to authorities in Arizona and Sonora, Governor Dulce and Governor Pavlovich have told us to prevent more contamination of the virus. So we agree on that. We're doing our best. This is an effort to transmit what we want to transmit to our clients, to chain stores, and all the people involved in the grape industry. Now, we want to go ahead and go with two videos that we had with two very important conferences that we are still programming for the next meeting, and an exposition that we thank very much again, John, to be with us. A very interesting exposition of John on the trends and things that we're looking forward with the grape industry. So let's go with the videos, please. Los videos.
We're going to introduce the speakers first or go straight to the videos?
Voy a presentar a Tristan, ¿tú, no?
You go with Tristan.
Tristan, okay. Yes, our first presenter will
Good
be
afternoon.
Tristan-
It's nice to meet
Tristan
everybody
Simpson
virtually.
from,
I'm happy to
Tristan Michelle
provide an
Marketing
introduction in advance
Orange
of
County.
our
Tristan is
summit.
a
I'm excited to
dynamic senior
present,
marketing executive and top
and so I
corporate
appreciate the
officer.
opportunity. I wanted to let you know a little bit about me, what I plan to present, and excited for the opportunity. So I'm Tristan Simpson. I'm the founder and CEO of Tristan Michelle Marketing Consulting. And I've spent about 25 years in consumer packaged goods, mostly focused on fresh and perishables. I have a highly unique background. I'm going to tease you with that because I'd love to share in person where I come from, what it is I do, and what it is I've done. Safe to say I've spent about 25 years, like I said, in consumer packaged goods. I've worked for some of the largest agribusinesses in California, some brands that you know, like Sunkist, Green Giant Fresh. I worked on Cutie Clementines. I did work on grapes for a family-owned legacy operation in table grapes, so I'll share a little bit more about that as it applies. And most recently, I was a Chief Marketing Officer for Ready Pack Foods, where I was for 7.5 years and led marketing and innovation, and was part of the transaction team that went on to sell the company back in 2017. So what I do today is focus on the industry that I love, that I have a passion for, the fresh food industry, and give back and help brands become memorable. It's what I've done in my career. I've done it for myself. I've done it for brands. And I'm really looking forward to sharing some insights with you when we meet. So a little bit about what I plan to present to get you excited about that, as I certainly am, is I want to talk about the consumer And there's no better time, there's no better, unfortunate time than now to see how consumers behave. Who are they? What do they want? We are in a food revolution or food evolution, depending on how you look at it. So I'd like to look at consumers and how they behave and what they need, what they want. And then the other side, I'd like for us to explore the industry, how we've adapted to changes with consumer needs around things like plant-based, access to food, so food delivery. And I really want to see and talk to you about how that intersects. So the food industry and how we respond, an example would be private label. How do we as an industry meet consumer needs, and where's the intersection? And most exciting is talking about the intersection between the two. So to me, I kind of call it the sweet spot. The sweet spot in between the consumer and the industry is really about the experience. So I am excited to share with you examples of organizations that are doing some really innovative and exciting things to meet the needs of the consumer, meet the demands, personalize, customize, and really have a great interaction with consumers. I wouldn't be remiss, but I always get the question about the crystal ball and what is coming next. We will talk about food trends, what we see on the horizon, and most importantly, how it might apply to your business. So, like I said, I'm very excited to present. If you do want to learn more about me or my business, you can go to tristanmichellemarketing.com. It's TRISTAN, Michelle with one L, so MICHELE marketing.com. And my hope is after my presentation that you've not only learned something new and seen some new and unique ideas, but you can get a sense for maybe what's possible in your business as we sit in some exciting times, some uncertain times, and I'm looking forward to being with you in person in the future. So thank you very much.
Okay, anyway, we thank Tristan for that short version of her presentation, and we really look forward to the future event where she will be able to give us the full presentation. Thank you very much, Tristan.
Thank you, Tristan.
Thank you. La próxima video que tenemos es de David Magaña de Rabobank. He's a senior analyst of horticulture, headquartered in Fresno, California. David is responsible for covering and analyzing the U.S. and North American fresh fruit and vegetables industries. David has a strong background and experience in agriculture. Prior to joining Rabobank, he served as Deputy Director of Economic Research for FIRA, Banco de Mexico, one of the most important agricultural banks in Latin America. While at FIRA, he conduct analysis on the agriculture sector for over a decade. His research agenda and experience includes agriculture market integration under the North American Trade Agreement, NAFTA, consumer trends in fresh fruit and vegetable market, food security, food price dynamics, and other related topics. He also has experience as a professor at Tecnológico de Monterrey. David earned a bachelor's degree in agribusiness from Universidad Autónoma de Chapingo. He also earned a master's degree and a PhD in agriculture economics from Texas A&M University. Vamos con la presentación de David.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Mi nombre es David Magaña. Soy analista senior, especializado en frutas y hortalizas dentro del grupo de Rabo Research de Rabobank. Recibí la invitación para participar en la reunión de primavera 2020 a llevarse a cabo en Arizona y compartir con ustedes nuestro análisis y algunas de nuestras perspectivas para el mercado de las frutas y hortalizas en Norteamérica. Dentro de las tendencias que vamos a analizar se encuentran algunas tendencias de consumo, tendencias en precios, así como algunas ventanas de mercado que resultan atractivas para algunos productos. Por el lado de la oferta, vamos a analizar algunos de los principales retos que la industria enfrenta y algunas de las oportunidades que esto representa para jugadores particulares dentro de las cadenas de valor entre México y Estados Unidos. Asimismo, vamos a compartir cuáles son las expectativas económicas entre un entorno altamente cambiante en los últimos meses y de hecho en las últimas semanas. Así pues, compartiré cuáles son las expectativas de nuestro equipo de macroeconómico para poder hacer una planeación acorde. Asimismo, estamos analizando cuáles son algunos de los principales cambios que están ocurriendo derivado del brote sanitario del COVID-19 a nivel global y cuáles son algunos de los principales factores que consideramos que van a permanecer como un cambio en los hábitos de consumo. Espero verlos pronto, deseándoles que ustedes y su familia se encuentren sanos y, sin más por el momento, nos vemos pronto.
Muchas gracias, David. Te agradecemos tu presentación. Y aquí vamos a pasarle la palabra a John, que es el próximo expositor. Adelante, John.
Okay, I get to present here in English, which I seldom do here in Hermosillo. Okay, that one, very good. My presentation, which should be up on the screen now. Presentation, please.
Should be.
Volume, there you go. Volume is vanity, profit is sanity. I assume they see the top part there. The 2019 season debriefing
Que estaba muy alto.
and thoughts. Go down. In volume, growers, as far as yield, is one of their. I'm making signs over to the other people that are in the other room over there to al principio. The audio operator is actually around the corner from us, and I do not have a direct line of sight. So, no. Back up.
Ahí está.
That's the one. Okay. Anyway, okay, back to the beginning. Volume both in yield per acre and volume in economies of scale are usually very good indicators of profitability in the growers. However, last year we had lots of volume, lots of yield, and not much profit. So we do a debriefing in order to go back and try to say, okay, what went wrong or what was different about that season that happened. I talked to my economist friends about what demand is. Demand is generally looked at as the willingness and ability to buy. This is from, I'm borrowing the next couple of slides from Dr. John Beauvais at Virginia Tech, who presented these at the New York Produce Show. I had discussions. There's not a lot in the economic literature about produce demand. But one of the things we get is into quantity demanded, and he used a very good example of coffee. And he said, as you see at the bottom there, that, you know what, if coffee is $2, I'll buy a cup. And if coffee by my office is $1, I'll buy 3 cups. And if coffee were 50 cents, I would probably buy 4 cups. Actually, there would be less spend at 4 cups than at 3. Next slide. Now there we have the visual of Dr. Beauvais' demand curve for coffee. But in the next slide, he puts on a very interesting thing. Next slide. Of course, what he says there in the bottom right is his marginal willingness to pay for a 5th cup of coffee is close to 0. So we all know that at some point, we can run the price down to nothing, and we don't get any additional demand. Next. And of course, if we aggregate all those individual curves, we get something like that. If we aggregate the, for the next slide. If we aggregate the fruit business, we get something like this. A ver, súbelo un poco más.
Un poquito.
We're going to take off the bottom there. We tend to have, as we get through volume, where we have a little bit of demand that we would say is irrational. People who really probably pay more for some reason they should. We get this normal demand curve, but we get to a point in the volume, we get to that 5th cup of coffee, where we go into the surplus and into the saturated. And you know why, when we say saturated, and why is it below 0? Well, because sometimes we ship product to destinations that is never sold, and we get a bill back. So our return back to whatever our point is actually less than 0. This is a photograph that was taken at the Philadelphia wholesale market in March, I believe it was 2 years ago. That pink sticker says $1. Now that's Peruvian fruit, Chilean fruit, American fruit. This is March, all at $1, new varieties, old varieties. You know, at some point, certain demand gets to a point where there's nothing there. There is no additional demand. Next slide. Now, every now and then, a little bit more, poco más. Every now and then we see a market result or a market report. This is March of 2017, middle of the Chilean season, and this is the Flame report. And this is a very, very saturated market. Now, one of the things we all look at a market, the USDA market report, and we look at what is the prices? But going back to economy demanded, there is an assumption that I could sell all of my product at these prices. And the reality is that's not true. We look at, say, the top in the red there. On the right, it has supply. Supply is very heavy. On the left, we have the demand. Demand is very light. Yet in the middle, it tells us the market is steady, which is very odd. You would think the market would be declining, but yet the regular business is going along and the excess business is probably not being sold. In reality, what is happening? What is being sold at those prices, but this market does not reflect volume that is not being sold. And that's kind of where we got into it last year. Finished talking about demand. Let's talk a little bit about supply. And we're going to start debriefing. Next slide. Oh, is my slide up or no? Okay. This is the 1918, or tell you what, bring it down a little bit so the dates can show. Bájalo un poco, por favor. Okay, this is 2 years ago, okay? Now 2 years ago we had a light season. We had a 16-box season, but what happened? Those Twitter, the Twitter boxes above are weather reports from a prominent Hermosillo meteorologist. That first one on the 6th of January says that the first rain of the season will be around the 18th to 20th of June, and it could be a significant tropical cyclone. Okay, that was the early rains here at the end of June are not uncommon, but people began to panic. That middle tweet, which came out on the 12th of June, said that they would get over an inch, almost 100% chance, and that they would almost triple the estimate. Now that was simultaneously with our biggest volume of the season. And we had growers that reacted to that there was going to be scarcity. We had customers that reacted to that scarcity. 3 days later, we had the last tweet on the right, which says that, well, Friday it's going to be cloudy and nice, and maybe we'll have some bands of rain, but we aren't going to get to the 35 millimeters that we talked about. We might have 20 hundredths or 10 hundredths, and in reality, we didn't. But what happened? You had growers who said, it's going to rain, it's going to be apocalyptic, it's going to be fire hose from the sky. All those ads that I did, next slide please, all those ads that we put together that are very, very important to our activity. Next slide. Next, yeah, Sigue. They didn't do those ads. Those ads were canceled. He wanted $10 and $12 more. So, what happened? Next slide. This was still in July, but if you see on the left there, due to weather condition, we are experiencing a shortage of grapes. We apologize for the inconvenience. That is in late June, a major retailer. There's no reason a major retailer should have no grapes in June, but because of those signals that we sent that no, there's going to be apocalyptic scarcity, I'm sure they had fine cherries or peaches or some other group, but that's business that we don't get back. That's business that piles up in Nogales. And more important, when he looked back at his June 18 numbers for his planning for June of 19 last year, he's thinking to take a minor position in grapes and a bigger position in other products. Okay, next slide. Now, these are un poco más. This a little poco más. Yeah, right there. Okay. The years, the left, the blue was 19. Now you notice 19, we had record volumes, weekly volumes. That guy who planned that, no, I'm not going to have many grapes, couldn't have done it at a worse time. So I mean, part of the stack up we had, we can blame ourselves, but the other thing is we had a lot of grapes. If you look at that 5-year, really those 5-year histories, I didn't even put the first part of May, because that's not a problem. But look at the last half of June, the two groups on the right. Look at how much that's grown, and even if we're prepared, it's very difficult to grow a market that big. Next slide. Now this is the only Californian slide, but that little dip that you see is basically the first 2 weeks of July. Now what you'll notice is some weeks over a 5-year period, first week of July, some years we have 500,000, some years we have 1.5 million. You go to the next week, some years we have almost 1 million, some years we have over 2. If we have a very, very late Mexico deal combined with a very, very early California deal, that could be a lot of trouble. Okay. Next slide. This is something we put together a little bit more. This is something we put together on the top. I used to go by and look, okay, when are we, after the season, when were we 25% done with the season? When were we 50% done with the season? And when were we 75% done with the season, to kind of get just a view. Those are the dates on the bottom. Traditionally halfway. We're at 50%. It used to be the 2nd, 3rd, 4th of June. Then you started having planting in Guaymas, and it began to go earlier. It began to be the 1st of June, 31st of May, which it is in those first 2 years up top. But look at the last 3 years, how much the halfway point moved from the 1st of June to the 12th of June last year. We were at the 20th of June, we were only 75% done receiving. That's not shipping, that's receiving. So I mean that, now the question was, okay, was that the weather of the season? Right. Well, that's part. Right. But the other thing is, a lot of these are newer varieties, which are naturally later, and they're trying to get them to be earlier, but they come out later. The other one is growers, back to volume is vanity, growers are trying to get bigger yields. And when you have bigger yields, your things are ready later. And also another part of that, we had so many grapes that it was tough to get after them. I mean, it was simply a question of capacity to go in there. So I think that, that was really surprising when I put that on paper. The numbers below it are, okay, the numbers below that, no, el mío, no, no, yeah, okay, stop, para, what, sube, que es
Anterior.
anterior. Yeah, what those red and blue blocks were, what week did we have the most volume? Blue being the biggest week and the red being the second biggest week. And you see it, of course, they're moving the last 2 years, going later. Que sigue? This chart, you're not supposed to do chart and PowerPoints, but this chart is a model based on how much comes in and how much goes out. Now, we know how much comes in because the customs tells us how much cross. We don't know how much Nogales ships every day. Now, the California numbers are shipping numbers. Those are actually what goes out. I know that at 3 million we tend to accumulate, so I'm guessing, I'm going to make an estimate that our volume demanded, that our shipping is between 2.6 and 3 million boxes a week. I did, what if we shipped out that amount every week? What would be the floor count in Nogales? I believe that the floor count got to be about 5 million boxes in Nogales, or between Nogales and destination. For that to be true, it means that we were shipping between 2.8 and 2.9. That's probably about what the market can take. Now, if our problem is, yeah, we can ship 4 million one week, but we can't ship 4 million for 4 weeks. There are simply not enough weeks after. If you notice on the far right, that's July. That's 2 weeks of July. We're not receiving much, but we're shipping out. We also believe that we got to a point where there was probably close to 1 million boxes left over, that they were received but not shipped.
That's correct.
And that's kind of, nobody knows what's true between destination and origin, but those are probably kind of the mostly estimates. That's something for each individual. We're not going to put a marketing order on volume, but everyone needs to be thoughtful. There is more storage capacity in Nogales than ever. In a 3-year period, 1 million square feet were built, 100,000 square meters. That can store a lot of grapes. 5 years ago, we couldn't store 5 million grapes, but today we could probably even store more. And next slide. Our friends, okay, just to kind of put up some of the things that are out there. Top left, that was a crack that appeared one morning in a field west of Hermosillo. Below it, where it talks about the grieta or the crack, was what they had in the art museum here in Hermosillo. And one of the things it says in Spanish is that it was probably caused by the misuse of the underground water by agriculture. Now, I don't know what the museum curator knows about agriculture and geology, but that's a point, that's a negative thing, and that gets picked up and repeated. The top right is from the Hartman Group in Seattle. They talk on the left there about changes in agriculture, that meat is, on its way out because it's prehistoric and destructive, but contained agriculture or indoor agriculture, they're out there telling people that they use very little water, no agrochemicals, no transport, that those of us who grow plants in the ground, that we are both prehistoric and damaging, and that's something that we watch for. And the bottom right was a Facebook post that's someone in agriculture in California that talks about every time our minimum wage goes up, that retail is not compensated growers, that we're pulling out things, and that the California minimum wage is $13 an hour, and in Mexico it's $10 a day, and how can you compete with that? And you should buy American because we're regulated. Okay, the guy's also an importer from down here. He should know better. That's true that the minimum wage here is low, but it's also irrelevant because most of the people in export agriculture pay 2, 3, 4, and 5 times the minimum wage. We don't pay the minimum wage in California, but we may pay 10 or 20 or 30% more, not 300 or 500% of the minimum wage. So I mean, those are things that there. And our final slide, that's your friend me. And that's the end of my presentation. I'm sure along the line, the next time I'll have to give it in Spanish for our local crowd here.
Ok. Muchas gracias, John. Muchas gracias por tu presentación. Muy interesante, como siempre. Bueno, los próximos puntos vienen siendo las estimaciones de cosecha. Vamos a pasar la estimación de Chile y Perú. John nos va a hablar de ella y ya después hablamos Juan y yo sobre las estimaciones de este año para uva de mesa. Entonces le paso la palabra aquí a John para que nos dé las estimaciones de Chile y Perú.
Okay, update and estimate of Chile. I mean, Chile, we know what they put on the ship. We know as of next week, the totals and arrivals will be probably about 26 million boxes by then, or it'll be around 26 million boxes. And that number is just slightly smaller, statistically insignificant, I'd say, versus last year. Inventories are fairly light, and really demand is fairly brisk right now. What we have questioned, okay, Chile will probably produce less grapes as a whole than it did last year. There is question as to which market will go, what logistics will be available. We know in the Far East and especially China, containers got out of sync with ships. Our speculation is more might come to the U.S. simply because it's the closest market and they can flip the shipping capacity. But we're planning kind of a medium year for her on out. We're kind of suspecting that although there's not a lot of white grapes, there's a lot of crimsons that would go to a lot of markets, and that more of that will end up in the U.S. than normally have. Part for market reasons, part for logistic reasons. I think that's about the summary at this point.
Thank you, John.
Muy bien, gracias, John. Vamos a presentar ahora las estimaciones que traemos para acá, para México. Como comenté ahorita, son estimaciones, seguramente pudieran variar. Y este año ha sido un año con algunos eventos climatológicos que hemos tenido. Iniciamos con una helada entre el día 5 y 6 de febrero, una helada pues, temprana para estos lugares. Tuvimos afectaciones en parte de la costa, parte de Pesqueira y Caborca también. Mucho se ha compuesto, pero las bajas que tuvimos pues siguen estando, no como se tenían calculadas en un inicio, pero pues se van a presentar seguramente. Por otro lado, tenemos tenido una serie de lluvias también que nos ha llovido como muchos otros años. Y otro punto son días nublados. Hemos tenido algunos días nublados que nos han detenido un poco el avance de las plantas. Este año regular, como venimos de un año que salió tarde el año pasado, la mayoría de los productores nos fuimos un poco antes con las podas para tratar de no salir tan tarde como el año pasado. Y eso hizo que algunos viñedos, los más tempranos, tuvieran ciertas afectaciones por la helada. En principios de febrero las uvas venían poco más adelantadas que otros años, pero ya con las lluvias y días nublados pues se han ido acomodando esos avances, ¿no? Nosotros traemos una estimación ahorita de 19.7 millones de cajas que bien los voy a comentar. En el caso de las Perlets, el año pasado, como tenemos ahí en la gráfica, tuvimos 1.6 millones de cajas, casi 7 millones. Este año tenemos una estimación de 800,000 cajas. Esto es debido a la helada, que fue la variedad que más nos afectó. Es la variedad que estaba más brotada en ese momento. En el caso de las Earlys y variedad Prime, que son las otras tempranas que tenemos, verdes, de 2.6 millones estamos estimando un poco más el alza, 2.8, aunque estas también fueron afectadas. Pero este año tenemos plantaciones más maduras que pudieran producir más, ¿no? Entonces la estimación la tenemos un poco arriba que el año pasado. En el caso de, si se fijan, este año cambiamos un poco la presentación. Antes traíamos un reglón con Flame Seedless. Hoy, como ya las otras rojas que vienen siendo la Arra 29, la Sweet Celebration, han aumentado mucho en volumen, entonces las estamos juntando y haciendo un solo reglón de Red Seedless. El año pasado la suma de estas variedades fueron 10.7 millones de cajas. Este año estamos estimando 8.6 para estas tres variedades. En el caso de las verdes mid greens, que vienen siendo las superiores, las Ivories, Sweet Gloves, entre otras. El año pasado traíamos 5 millones, este año estamos pronosticando 4.1 millones de cajas. Debido a la fluctuación del clima, también las superiores han bajado mucho de área, traemos menos área de superiores, hay gente que ha estado bajando sus hectareajes y eso nos va a pintar una baja en la producción de este año. En el caso de la Red Globe las traemos muy similares, es una variedad que se ha bajado mucho el hectareaje y todavía sigue bajando. Este año todavía hubo unos productores que bajaron Red Globes, pero las traemos al mismo nivel más o menos. En el caso de las Blacks, que ahí estamos contemplando pues todas las negras Summer Royals y Black Seedless, todas las Black Seedless, estamos poniendo de 1.9 millones de cajas que hubo el año pasado, la estamos bajando ahorita a 1.5. ¿Por qué? Porque traemos menos producción, menos racimos por plantas, hay plantas que vienen normales, hay otras plantas que vienen más bajas, esto pues debido a las fluctuaciones del clima. Por lo tanto, pues vamos a tener una baja en negras también. Y en el punto de otras variedades, pues aquí tenemos todas las variedades nuevas que hay, todas las que están fuera de las que ya presentamos anteriormente. Y en este estamos poniendo un incremento debido a los nuevos hectareajes y las nuevas plantas pues que van madurando y van aumentando su producción. Ahí traemos de 1.2 a 1,5 millones de cajas. Entonces, para un gran total de 19.7 millones contra 23.6 del año pasado. Ya viendo el total de producción, de comparación del año 2019 con el 2020, traemos una merma de casi el 20% ahorita a la fecha, ¿no? Seguramente estos números pudieran cambiar. Todavía el día de ayer tuvimos un evento de una lluvia y pues esperemos que los números pudieran variar un poco, no sabemos si hacia arriba, hacia abajo, pero más adelante ya lo vamos a presentar, posiblemente un mes más, ya más cercanos a la cosecha, pues vamos a pasar números más precisos, ¿no? Esto pues sirve para todos nuestros distribuidores que vayan teniendo un contacto más cercano con cada uno de los productores para poder ir programando las promociones. Las promociones las estamos contemplando ahorita por ejemplo, en el caso de las Earlys tempranas, de las Earlys, Green Earlys, a partir del 18 de mayo hasta el día 14 de junio, serían las 4 semanas el pico de las Earlys. De las Earlys aquí van Perlets, Early Sweet y las Primes. Ya después en lo que vienen siendo las Flames y variedades Red Seedless, a partir del día 25 de mayo estamos calculando que pudieran ser los picos donde tendríamos que contemplar las promociones, desde el 25 de mayo hasta el día 30 de junio. En el caso de las verdes intermedias, mid greens, a partir de la semana del 8 de junio hasta fines de junio, principios de julio, sería que pudiéramos tener los volúmenes más fuertes, los picos, ¿no? En el caso de las uvas negras, pues la ventaja que tenemos es que es una variedad que no se viene un pico fuerte, sino que se va a dar toda la temporada es más larga en esta. Estamos programando de la última semana de mayo, desde el 25 de mayo en adelante, hasta fines de junio, ¿no? Que es cuando habría que pensar ya en promociones. Yo creo que esta temporada va a ser una temporada que vamos a venir antes que la pasada. El año pasado fue una temporada que se nos fue muy tarde. Ahorita venimos más temprano, posiblemente los primeros cruces de Guaymas pudieran ser entre los días últimos de abril, 1 de mayo. Y para los primeros cruces de Pesqueira, del área de Pesqueira, Carbó y la costa, pudieran ser a partir del día 5 de mayo. Esto para ir previendo los inicios de cosecha, ¿no? Quisiera aquí pues pasarle la palabra a Juan. Juan trae otros datos que quiere, ahorita que están de moda. Aquí le paso la palabra a Juan, entonces.
Póngame las estimaciones, por favor. I just want to translate and add up a little bit on what Marco said. Going real quick back to what we expect with this year with weather, what we had in this season. As Marco said, we had good winter, we had a freeze and couple rains that had lowered the temperature and had an impact on the total production. The variety that was hit most was perlettes, that every year we're having less and less perlettes. We got a freeze on perlettes, and then we had drop bunches due to the cold and nasty weather. And so we expect only 800,000 boxes versus 1.7 million boxes last year. It's a big decline, and we pull out some vineyards after the freeze on this variety. It's a variety that is just staying about that number in the future. And then we go to early seedless and prime seedless. We expect 2.8 million boxes versus 2.6 million boxes last year. These varieties are new varieties. We have very few new hectares coming, but we have hectares that were under the first crop last year, and we expect to put out a little more. We are hit on those varieties with a little bit less bunches in the Guaymas area, but if we add the total of Hermosillo, Guaymas, and Caborca on this variety, which Caborca doesn't have too much, we expect a little increase on these varieties. We're gonna have plenty of those. Then we group for the first time flame seedless, Arra 29, early sweet celebration that we haven't done before, but these two new varieties are adding quite a bit on the scheme of the red seedless. So if we add those varieties, last year we had 10.7 million boxes, and due to the abortion and the freeze, we expect on those varieties to have 8.6 million boxes, a little reduction on those. But still, 8.6 is a lot of grapes, so we need to promote those varieties. Then we go to mid greens. Mid greens, it's mainly Sugar One, Sweet Globes, ivories. That last year, if we had those, we had about a little bit over 5 million boxes. Sugar ones is a variety that it's not very stable, especially in weather like this. So we're expecting 4.1 million boxes of mid-greens. Then red gloves, as Marcos said, we're staying about the same volume as last year. We pull out a little bit more every year. We expect the volumes stay about the same. On black seedless, it's a long-term variety. It's not a bumper crop either, due to the weather also. Last year we had 1.9 million, which was our peak ever on black seedless. Those are black seedless and summer royals mainly. So we expect a little bit lower than last year. And then we have the group of other varieties. Other varieties are cotton candy, sweet sapphire, unique varieties, and varieties that are only trials like Timco, candy snaps, stuff like that. We put in a different category this year, just to be more clear on the green earlies, mid-greens, red seedless, to have them separate or to group them, so we know what the market is reading right now. It's green varieties, red varieties, black varieties, and unique varieties. So we kind of group this. And on the lower part, as Marco said, we expect box 1 on May 1st from Guaymas, and Hermosillo from 5 to the 10th of May. Still, there's a few days to go. We're earlier than last year for sure. Another conclusion, as you can see, we got plenty of grapes to promote, and we're coming earlier than last year. When to promote, as Marco was saying, next slide. Okay. When do we think it's time to promote, when we're going to have plenty of grapes? For sure, from the 18th of May on early greens, Perlet early and prime seedless. From the 18th of May till June 14th, we got plenty of grapes to promote. These numbers, it's when we have grapes in Nogales to promote. It doesn't mean that we're saying that the chain store should promote on this week. This is when we have
These are shipping dates.
Shipping dates. That's make clear that the shipping date, we're going to have plenty of grapes to ship on these days, not to be promoting in the store.
So if you're in the East Coast or Eastern Canada, you need to add a few days to that scale for there.
That's correct. That's correct.
Just so it's clear.
Yeah. Thank you, John. On flame or red seedless, same thing. Anywhere from the 25th of May on to the 28th of June, we're going to have plenty of red seedless to promote. Again, shipping time. And mid-greens, sugar ones, sweet globes, ivories, all these new beautiful varieties. We're going to have plenty of those around the 8th of plenty of those around from the 8th of June till July mainly. So those dates are promotable. Black seedless, as Marco was saying, anywhere from the 25th of May all the way to the 1 month to the 28th of June, we're going to have plenty of black seedless varieties, which includes, as I said, mainly summer royals, black seedless, a little bit of autumn royals, but mainly it's summer royals. It's the name of the game. Anything you want to add here?
I would say as a point of emphasis there, You have 5 weeks, all 3 colors, conventional and organic, available for promotion. Enough said.
And 5 weeks. 5 weeks available.
Muy bien.
Almost all colors.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Juan y John. Ahorita tenemos ya, podemos esperarlos a que hagan cualquier preguntas y respuestas. Estamos aquí a sus órdenes. Mientras recibimos preguntas, vamos a dar los avances que llevamos ahorita ante la contingencia esa que tenemos de la enfermedad de coronavirus, que pues ha trastocado a todo el mundo, no estamos exentos nosotros. La mera verdad queremos hacer saber que el virus no es transmitido por las uvas. Así es un punto importante que necesitamos tener mucho énfasis. No se transmite a través de las uvas. Primer punto. Segundo punto, estamos llevando a cabo en todos los viñedos y campos agrícolas protocolos muy intensivos, internacionales, y aparte estamos reforzando todas las acciones que regularmente tenemos de las medidas ya establecidas en inocuidad. Se está teniendo un acceso muy restringido a los campos para evitar personas que no son, que sean ajenas a los campos. No se permite ya la entrada exclusivamente al personal de ingenieros o los propietarios, ¿no? Y salvo ciertas excepciones, proveedores que tienen que entregar productos, ¿no? La verdad, estamos siendo muy estrictos en todas las medidas que se están tomando. Tenemos una relación muy cercana con el gobierno del estado. El secretario de Salud ha estado con nosotros ya aquí en esta sala en 2 ocasiones. Llevamos 2 capacitaciones, una que hicimos a los productores y otra que se hizo a todo el personal médico que existen en los campos, así como paramédicos y todas las personas encargadas de inocuidad. Todos los campos ya están ejerciendo todas estas acciones preventivas y sobre todo pues que estamos tomando las medidas que está dictando la Organización Mundial de la Salud. ¿Qué más decimos?
Que tiene que ver nada más con cuidados adicionales, extra, reforzar las medidas que ya tenemos nosotros ejerciendo con nuestras certificaciones que requerimos, que nos exigen y que nosotros voluntariamente estamos convencidos de que tenemos que hacer. Y esto va muy enfocado al tema de la responsabilidad social para con nuestros trabajadores. Sabemos que el producto está sin ningún problema, pero estamos convencidos de que tenemos que cuidar y ser muy astutos en que cuidemos a nuestros trabajadores y evitar que gente que está trabajando en nuestros campos se contamine con este virus. Estamos, como dice Marcos, reforzando certificaciones, acciones que tenemos desde hace más de 10, 15 años. Las estamos haciendo y estamos reforzando y en coordinación con el Estado, en la Secretaría de Salud y obedeciendo a la Organización Mundial de la Salud. Sus recomendaciones las estamos poniendo en práctica en nuestras áreas agrícolas para evitar cualquier contaminación a alguno de nuestros trabajadores, ¿no? Eso sería lo que yo agregaría. No sé si John quisieras traducirlo.
No, to emphasize, there's absolutely the entire food supply chain is an essential industry, and Mexican agriculture is part of that food chain. These folks here absolutely realize it. They are taking it very, very seriously. One of the big differences between a field here in Mexico and in the United States, most have on site anywhere from an infirmary to some pretty wide polyclinics. And so they have a series of procedures that they've had in place for decades now. For example, when folks who actually who come to live on site, before they're allowed into worker housing, they're checked by a healthcare worker. Those types of screenings and the fact that they have, doctors or nurses on site. There was a large training yesterday here in the state of all healthcare workers, including those that exclusively are dealing with agricultural workers. They had their training session, and they will continue to have training sessions as the best practices are updated as we find out new things, and just like everywhere else in the world. I think we all know that this virus is not being transmitted by foodstuffs, that products are not the problem, that it is a human-to-human transmission. And so we have to not fear foods from foreign sources any more than we would from our domestic sources.
Bueno, no, pues, muchas gracias, John. ¿Preguntas? ¿No tenemos una pregunta?
¿No tenemos alguna pregunta de alguien aquí que quieran que se aclare, que se amplíe, any question from the audience that requires to be more clear on what we're saying, volume, when to promote. The fact is that as we've been seeing in the last 3-4 years, we've got plenty of grapes to promote. We have the quality, we have the food safety, and also I just want to add one thing, if there's no question, is that one issue that it's been worrying our industry in the last 3-4 months is the inspections of the grapes. We've been in contact constantly with the Department of Agriculture, USDA, and Department of Agriculture of Arizona. Through Fresh Produce Association, we've been working together and looking forward what to prevent in a probably collapse inspection system with the tomato industry at the same time. I'm pretty sure we're okay. We're doing a lot of things to prevent that. The Department of Agriculture has told us that they're going to have plenty of inspectors. We've been getting together, meeting with them every other week just to make sure everything is going fine. We're just starting right now with the tomato inspection, so we're still learning on what to expect, but we're together working on this, and we're hoping we're going to have enough inspections at the right time, at the right moment, so the chain store get the product on time. Also, just in the last things is that we, for the first time, we have the protocol to export grapes, Mexican grapes, to South Korea. So anybody who's interested I know it's an odd year to start with a new market, but still, we have the protocol to go to South Korea. Just make sure that also we have protocol for Australia, New Zealand, and China. So those are some of the new protocols that we had acquired in the last years. So we got to go for those. We got plenty of grapes to go to those markets and to go Canada, US, and local market. And that'll be my question.
Carmina Félix pregunta que si tienen un estimado del volumen de uva por semana por la cuestión de inspecciones.
Sí. Georgina Felix from Fresh Produce Association asking about a weekly estimates on crop. Yes, we do have that. We're fine tuning that. And we'll deliver that to the USDA inspectors and Arizona inspectors, so they have the info on time. We're point finding that, and also, this is, as Marco said, it's an estimate. We're going to come back with you on about a month and recheck these estimates on volume, which we don't think it's going to move too much. But with this weather, we might move up and down a couple days, 3 days on our volume. So we got to come back and show you our idea of timing and volume per week.
Well, Georgina, if you want a quick answer, use 2017's numbers as a guide. And then we'll fine tune that. But if you wanted a guide for, real quick, I'd use 2017.
Yeah, that's correct.
Bueno, pues es importante nomás establecerles de que pues el evento lo vamos a reprogramar, pues debido a como se comentó en un rato, a las declaraciones que hizo el gobernador Doug Ducey y la gobernadora Claudia Pavlovich, donde están evitando tener mucha aglomeración de gente, y pues nosotros pues tenemos mucha relación con ellos aquí a través de Productores de Mesa en la Sonora, Arizona, en la Comisión Sonora, Arizona. Entonces vamos a tomar este programa nuevamente, donde ya se les hará saber las nuevas fechas que traemos. Y sí, Georgina, vamos a programar y le vamos a hacer llegar el programa semanal de estimaciones de cosecha. No sé si tengamos... Bueno, volver otra vez a agradecer a todos los patrocinadores. Esperamos que nos sigan patrocinando. Nos vamos a ver dentro de unos meses más, con el favor de Dios. Y pues todos aquí están atrás. Y muchísimas gracias. No sé si hay algún otro comentario, alguna otra pregunta.
Miguel Suárez pregunta, dice que no le quedó muy clara la cantidad de cajas posibles que quedan de Chile.
De Chile, ok.
Se oría la pregunta.
Se escuchó la pregunta. La pregunta es que
probablemente 11 y 13 millones más.
La pregunta es, Vicky Suárez, que cuánto se estima en volumen total de cajas que faltan que lleguen de Chile.
Claro, si estamos con la próxima semana a 26 millones y el total que llegará a Estados Unidos probablemente va a ser 36 a 38 millones, quiere decir 10 a 12.
Que es algo contra el año pasado.
Y sería... La pregunta es cuánto es la parte tarde. Esa no, eso es un levemente arriba. Yo creo que va a ir levemente arriba que el año pasado.
La parte tarde.
Sí, pero casi igual, casi igual.
¿Y la parte tarde va a terminar igual que el año pasado, o más temprano, o más tarde?
Hay muchos que quieren guardar su fruta para participar en el mercado hasta de abril y mayo. Hay mucho de esta fruta que es irresponsable de guardarlo tanto tiempo. Entonces yo creo que vamos a entrar en un mercado relativamente limpio.
Is there any issue that can have an impact on that volume due to the containers and the boats that are kind of any problem with China?
I don't know the breakdown that's break bulk reefer chamber ships versus container ships. There's certainly a lot of containers tied up in the Far East that haven't come back. The deal is, let's say a container that would have had to return to the Far East with 22 days, coming from the United States, it's only 12 days. So I think a lot more both break bulk ships and container ships will end up coming to the United States, more than they normally would be.
Now,
I think really, but there's less grapes. So in a way, we're getting a bigger piece of the pie, although a bigger percentage, although that number is not going to be significantly different than last year.
so you don't expect varieties like crimsons and especially red globes that usually go to the Far East to come to the U.S., Canada market, additional to the normal?
I don't expect a lot of additional red globes. I do expect additional crimsons.
Okay.
I do expect additional crimsons.
Whites?
No, there's not really enough late whites.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any other question?
Bueno, pues ya son todas las preguntas que hemos recibido. Esperemos que han sido contestadas correctamente. Y pues les agradecemos mucho a John, a Juan, que estén aquí con nosotros y pues los esperamos ver próximamente. De todos modos tenemos cualquier duda que tengamos, aquí la pueden hacer directamente aquí al PUM y nosotros les contestaremos con las respuestas más certeras que podamos tener. Pues muchísimas gracias y es todo.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you very
Gracias a
much.
los patrocinadores nuevamente.